Today, I'm gonna get a little bit morbid. As we get closer to Rogue One, I've basically been operating under the assumption that every single Rebel character is going to die. I'm just pretending that this is a suicide mission. I'm preparing myself for the worst. But I thought it would be interesting to go through every single character and kind of explore how I would like them to die since I think it's going to happen. Now, before I get into that, I want to address that there is a spoiler floating around that came from Star Wars Celebration, one of the actors actually, about one of the characters' deaths. I will not be talking about that spoiler. I'll be pretending like it doesn't exist, but I would kindly ask you to do the same in the comments. If I see a comment that is talking about that spoiler, I'm going to delete it. But of course, after saying that, I will be speculating wildly in this video. And while I have no confirmation on any of these story points at all, if you want to go into the film without any of these ideas in your head, you might want to watch something else. So let's get started with the new star, Jin Air. I'm guessing her story is going to be mostly about rescuing her father, Galen Air. I think helping the rebellion will start as a secondary mission for her until she sees the Death Star and what it can do. I think she will reach Galen near the end of the film, but he'll ultimately die after a brief reunion. She'll want nothing more than to damage the Empire for what they did to her father, and I think this shot from the trailer is Jin transmitting the plans to the rebellion, possibly even straight to the Tantive 4. She's got a limp and there's a TIE fighter. Things aren't looking so good. If Jin is going to die, I would like to see her go out with the knowledge that her mission was successful and that her father's death will not be in vain. Cassian Andor and K2SO. I want to talk about them together. We've heard that K2 was an Imperial droid that Cassian reprogrammed, giving him some free will. We've also heard that they're basically each other's only friends. I think this is a perfect setup for a tragic and emotional death. Perhaps K2 will sacrifice himself to save the man who originally saved him. It could make for a moving hold the door moment. If things play out that way, I could actually see Cassian surviving, or else K2's sacrifice would just feel empty. However, there is another possibility. K2 is an Enforcer droid. What if Cassian dies in battle and K2 just goes berserk, kinda like Chewie did after Han died, but maybe even more murdery? If they're both gonna die, I prefer this scenario. Moving on to Charette, this might be my favorite death speculation I have, although I already really like the character, and I hope he doesn't die. But if he does, I would really like to see him die at the hands of Darth Vader. Charette is likely at least a little Force sensitive. He has faith in the Force. Wouldn't it be heartbreaking to see him die at the hands of the most twisted version of the very thing he reveres? It would be like he only really understood half of the Force, and maybe he'd have this realization right before he's killed. Man, I think that would be a bummer, but also really impactful and thematic. Since we're talking about Charette, let's get to Baze. I can't help but feel like if Charette dies, then Baze would also go berserk like I think K2 would. Baze is the only member of the team I'm having trouble thinking up something unique and thematic for. Maybe he'll be the sole survivor. We know he doesn't hold the same beliefs in the Force that Charette does. Maybe seeing the sacrifice of all the other members will cause Baze to believe in something more. Bodie is the former Imperial pilot. He's another character we don't know all that much about. So this is going to be the craziest speculation of the entire video, I think. It sounds like Bodie will be a cargo pilot on Jedha, and I'm guessing he transports kyber crystals. Thanks to Rebels and the Clone Wars, we know kyber crystals are highly volatile. So maybe he'll use the very things he delivered to deal a major blow against the Empire. He could get a great sacrifice scene where he blows up himself and a bunch of crystals to cause some massive damage, which would provide him with a sense of redemption. We know kyber crystals help power the Death Star's super laser, so by blowing some of them up, it could be a way for him to undo the help he provided the Empire before his defection. The final rebel I want to discuss is Sauger. I think his role in this film will be similar to Han Solo's. He'll start by thinking the rebellion is too soft and aren't worthy of his help. But on Scarif, he and his crew will swoop in and save the day when all hope seems lost. To make it not play out exactly like Han's surprise return, I think Saw will see this as a one-way trip. He'll sacrifice himself for the survival of the Rebel Alliance as a whole. And the last character I want to discuss is Orson Kren. He's not a rebel, but he is a new character, so I feel like I should at least mention him. I wouldn't be surprised to see him killed by Vader. Based on trailers, I think Krennic is going to reveal the existence of the Death Star earlier than he should. He'll use a not completely operational super laser to destroy Jedha. Maybe he'll be trying to wipe out Sauger and the other rebels, but the attempt will fail, and Tarkin will not be pleased that some witnesses survived. He'll be held responsible for the plans falling into the rebels' hands, and he'll be executed for his failure. Those are my thoughts. Looking back over them, I know I can't be right about all of them, because then each character's death would just turn into like everyone one-upping each other to see who can have the most heroic sacrificial death. But do you think I'm right for any of them? Do you have any ideas of your own? Leave those in the comments, but please remember to keep any actual spoilers out. If you haven't already, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, follow me on Instagram and Twitter, and consider checking out my Patreon page to help keep this channel going. As always, thank you for watching, and may the Force be with you.